kickoff as President Biden defends his decision to withdraw the troops. Cleo Green with us from the newsroom. And Cleo, most of us have seen the video and the pictures, and it's just such a grim picture. It's obviously affecting people there, but it's really affecting people all over the world, including here in North Texas.
100%, Karen. We're going to start with the latest. I just went to the Department of Justice's website, and they're saying the Kabul airport is now secured, and they're evacuating Americans and Afghans. You were talking about the videos and the pictures that we all saw yesterday, like this one. I mean, everyone saw this. The world saw it on their TV screens and their social media feeds. This military jet packed with at least 640 Afghans fleeing the country, fleeing the Taliban with nothing more than the clothes on their backs. Now, we're also learning that the Department of Justice says they're creating spaces on military bases to get at least 22,000 Afghans there. These are many people who have relationships with the U.S., working as advisors and interpreters. Now, we do have more video here because as it stands, evacuation flights are now resumed. Just hours after thousands of Afghans here crowded onto the runway surrounding that plane as it took off, some even clinging to the side of the fuselage. Now, President Biden, he's standing firm on his decision to call it quits, telling the nation the buck stops with him. But, you know, we're also told that the Refugee Services of Texas, they're helping the military to find temporary housing for 324 Afghans across Dallas, Fort Worth, Houston, and Austin in the coming weeks. About 10 families are already here. We also spoke to an Afghan native who served as an interpreter for the U.S. military in Afghanistan for nearly 6 years, then came to Texas on a special visa. But his brother is still in the region, still serving as an interpreter for the U.S. Emery told us that he has a bounty on his head.
They're hiding, and I'm really worried about them, how to get them out of there. Those that have fallen from the planes, those people could be helped weeks ago, months ago.
Now, you didn't see his face there to protect his privacy. I just want to add here that I brought up the website of the Refugee Services of Texas so that you can learn about what they do and how you can also help them make an impact. By the way, President Biden also authorized $500 million to help the urgent refugee migration effort in Afghanistan. Once again, the Department of Justice saying that they're trying to help at least 22,000 Afghans get to military bases here in the States. I'll send it back to you, Mark.
Okay, thank you, Cleo. As we take a look at the situation in Afghanistan, we know that it's been decades in the making as we look back at the timeline of events that got us to where we are today. Al-Qaeda had been targeting Americans for years, but the 9/11 attacks on the homeland were a catalyst. The U.S. identified Islamist militant group Al-Qaeda and its leader Osama bin Laden as responsible. Bin Laden was in Afghanistan under the protection of the Taliban. September 20th, President George W. Bush demands the Taliban hand over bin Laden. After they refused, the U.S. launched Operation Enduring Freedom, and coalition airstrikes began. On December 7th of 2001, the Taliban regime collapsed. But 5 years later, the Taliban resurges, while the U.S. focuses on the war in Iraq. In February of 2009, President Obama authorizes a troop surge in Afghanistan, and 2 years later, U.S. forces kill bin Laden during a raid in Pakistan. But the war continues. Between 2015 and 2018, the Taliban make gains, controlling nearly half the country. And under President Trump, the U.S. launches negotiations with the Taliban. In February of 2020, the Taliban and the U.S. sign a deal to withdraw U.S. troops in May of 2021. In April of this year, President Biden announced the U.S. would withdraw by September 11th. The Taliban moved quickly. They launched an offensive in May. 2 months later, the U.S. abandons Bagram airfield. The base is ransacked. By August 6th, the Taliban launches a blitz, capturing dozens of regional capitals. Just 4 days later, Kabul is surrounded. And within days, the U.S. embassy is evacuated. The Afghan president flees the country, and the Taliban takes control. ABC's George Stephanopoulos will go one-on-one with President Biden about the Taliban's swift recapture of Afghanistan. You can watch it all tomorrow on World News Tonight with David Muir.